Hey everyone, my name's Hayden. I'm a contributor here at Thoughtful Faith, and I want to start out today's video with an example. I want you to imagine for a moment that at your local university, there was a Kamala Harris fan club. The entire goal of this club was to get Kamala Harris elected President of the United States. In this group, there was a student named Steve, and eventually Steve decided he no longer wanted Kamala Harris to be president. But instead of leaving the club, he decided that it would be better if he stayed in it. This way, he could act as an insider who could work with Trump supporters to expose how terrible the Kamala Harris organization is. After making multiple videos for the Trump campaign, the leaders of the Kamala Harris fan club decided to remove Steve's name from its records so he could no longer claim to be an insider. Steve was outraged and said that he could not believe that he was being kicked out of a group that he wanted to be a member of. The Trump supporters as well joined in and said that he should not be removed from the club simply for telling the truth about Kamala Harris and her organization. So here's the question. Was Steve actually being wronged? Does a person have a right to be in a private organization that they are actively seeking to undermine? Anyone who's acting in good faith will say that a private organization has every right to kick out people who are seeking to undermine its goals. Furthermore, a person who pretends to be a member of an organization while acting against that organization's goals is the very definition of a disingenuous, bad faith actor. So does this happen in the church? Well, I'd like you to meet Douglas Stilgo, who is better known on YouTube as Nemo the Mormon. Recently, he went on an anti-Mormon podcast to talk not only how he lost his belief in the fundamental doctrines of the church, but his outrage at being lied to over and over by church leaders.
Yeah, I angrily typed out my resignation letter. I was ready to leave, and then I kind of had this wake-up call moment. No, yeah, right, the church, that's their job to deal with me. If they've lied to me, like, okay, let's take it to them then, rather than kind of just bowing out in a rage. I thought, no, I can do something about this. So
Douglas has spent the last few years making entire videos seeking to weaken faith in various church policies, practices, and doctrines, like the authenticity of the Book of Mormon.
And while the geography may be internally consistent, no archaeologists have ever managed to pin down any of the locations from the Book of Mormon on terra firma. And the irony here is that the same side making an argument from incredulity is then asking people to believe an equally incredulous narrative, that an angel gave Joseph golden plates that detailed the lives of the ancient inhabitants of America, despite archaeological and genetic evidence to the contrary.
He also unapologetically compares Joseph Smith to child molesters in front of tens of thousands of people online.
It sounds like a 37-year-old man having sex with a 14-year-old child.
You want to compare Joseph Smith and Warren Jeffs? Actually, they had a similar number of polygamous wives, which again is a detail that the church doesn't really like to talk about. But they were similar in their sort of practice of polygamy, and the age ranges are broadly similar as well.
And it doesn't just stop with Joseph Smith. He implies sexual misconduct by our modern apostles.
The Internet Archive has the original picture, and if I'm honest, it creeps me out. This is D. Todd Christofferson with 8-year-old Jamie Ortega Porras. That hand position is questionable, shall we say.
He even recently went on Lad Bible, a UK-based media outlet whose YouTube channel has over 3 million subscribers, representing himself as a member of the church who is going to give honest answers about the church.
Hi, I'm Nemo, and I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I'm here to answer the questions in the honesty box. Are you brainwashed? Yeah, I guess. Which is weird because you wouldn't recognize it if you were, but I think certainly indoctrinated is maybe a better word. You are indoctrinated from a very early age in the LDS Church. You're taught that this is the way the world is.
He is literally making a living by doing this.
So, got to be honest about these things. My position with the church is somewhat of an interesting one. My full-time job is commentating on the church.
But he does a whole lot more than just comment on the church. He engages in full-blown action against it.
So I'm creating a movement of people voting opposed because internal dissent within the church will make a difference. And then when they've got an internal rebellion on their hands, they may well just turn around and try and pacify it. Given that the First Presidency have committed a serious sin while in a public and notable position as members of the church, I'm sending these letters to their bishops and stake presidents to call for church discipline. My letter calling for church discipline against those involved in the Mormon SEC scandal is getting traction. It has been shared now in several stakes worldwide by others, and I myself have sent it to every stake president in the United Kingdom.
Do you pay tithing?
Not to the church, no. I send it to charity instead. I started a petition to tell the church that you should listen to Joseph F. Smith, in that we will envisage a time where you won't have to make donations to the church anymore. And so I started a petition that is still growing in signatures, where I'm saying, look, the time is now.
This all makes sense when you realize Douglas is not just claiming the church is false, he's claiming that it's abusive.
The first was about the spiritual abuse. Guys, don't worry about me. I voluntarily choose to engage in a spiritually abusive relationship with my church leaders so that you don't have to. In the same way, I watch General Conference so you don't have to.
And he so proudly films himself publicly opposing the prophet and local leaders.
Russell M. Nelson as prophet, seer, and revelator, and those opposed may so manifest it.
I oppose.
Any opposed, manifest it.
I oppose.
Douglas has the right to do this, but then says it's unfair that he is not allowed into the temple, and says one of his goals is to create a space for people to attend the temple without meeting worthiness standards.
And at the moment, they have to stay completely quiet, and I'm trying to model the space where they could actually be honest. Because what they're having to do currently is be dishonest in order to get along. They're having to lie their way through a temple recommend, saying they sustain people they don't, saying they pay tithing when they don't, or whatever it might be. And I'm trying to model that position of, no, I'm going to go into a temple recommend interview. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to say I don't sustain them. I'm going to say that I don't pay tithing to the LDS Church. But I have a desire to worship in the house of the Lord. And I said, well, fine, then it shouldn't matter how I answer the questions. Because he said the most important question is the one where do you consider yourself worthy? I said yes. And he's like, well, okay. And I said, well, then it shouldn't matter how I answer the questions.
So when Douglas could not get into the temple himself, he decided to help host a show where they interviewed members who secretly went in to film the temple ceremonies multiple times so they could broadcast them online.
So we went through and did it a second time. And by the second time, I was so confident going in, because that first time I was super nervous. But by the time we walked out, I realized that no one had noticed. No one even cared. Everyone was just there, focused on the screen or focused on their own, fixing their outfits.
At the beginning of the recording that you've made, it says that the covenants have not changed, which is just untrue. But it's an unprovable claim without records like this. If no one ever recorded the endowment ceremony, then they would be able to make that claim, and hardly anyone's going to find out that it's untrue because they have nothing to compare it to.
Well, for those people that haven't seen it.
Now they went on to play the temple video, but obviously I won't show that out of respect. So why is he doing this? It's because being an insider gives you major advantages.
Well, they can't excommunicate me. Essentially, I'm excommunicatable at the moment for various reasons. And so I kind of use that to really try and push some change within the system. Because every time I think I've done something that they'll excommunicate me for, they don't. So I'm very happy with that arrangement.
Douglas literally flew all the way to Texas just so he could go on record implying his good standing membership while opposing the church's temple plans. And of course, this was all to the cheers of John DeLynn, Bill Reel, and some of the other big names in anti-Mormonism who literally claimed him as, quote, one of their own.
Douglas Stilgo? That his name?
That's our very own Nemo the Mormon.
Yay!
All the way.
Here he comes, direct from England. Hello, there he is.
My name is Douglas Stilgo, and I travelled here from Oxford, England. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I'm a graduate of the Church's seminary program. I'm a returned missionary, and I'm also the UK's leading commentator on the Church.
What is going on here is so obvious it's embarrassing. It's a perfect litmus test too. It's so obvious that Douglas is a bad faith actor that you can be sure that anyone who denies this is a bad faith actor themselves. Anyone who claims they can't see what's going on here and who thinks the church is wrong to take action against Douglas only exposes themselves. Douglas himself knows what he is doing, and it's time to stop taking people seriously who pretend Nemo the Mormon is a good faith actor.
And they and we and I will be with you in spirit at your council, and maybe we'll have a closer approximation as to when it will be. as time progresses. But I understand it will be next week, sometime after Tuesday, because that's the deadline for everybody to get in their emails to your stake president, which are to be sent to Nemo is innocent. Nemo is innocent at gmail.com. Yeah, look at this. All this. Amen, RFM. Yes. Everybody loves Nemo.
Not just that, there's thousands of pedophiles in the Mormon church, thousands of members of the church that have committed financial fraud, and all sorts of heinous crimes, rape, abuse, that the Mormon church has protected, not excommunicated, and even offered legal support to protect them and to cover up their crimes. So the Mormon church treats rapists and pedophiles and child abusers better than it's treating you, an honest, conscientious critic. I think that's just objectively true.
Because apparently you can't seek after the truth in this church, not without being punished. So why don't they just go the whole hog and excommunicate me? They don't need to excommunicate me with all the negative PR that would come with. The church also probably feels like they have more control over me, because at the moment they feel they can micromanage every aspect of my church participation. But you know what? They can't. I am still a member of this church, something that everyone celebrated as my choice when I was 8 years old. I will continue to use my priesthood and my membership in this church to make a difference. And if they want that to stop, they will have to take it from me.
Hey guys, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that subscribe button so my future videos show up on your feed. Also, if you or someone that you know has benefited from the content here on Thoughtful Faith, please consider becoming a channel donor or volunteer by visiting my new website, thoughtfulfaith.org, and clicking on the Get Involved page.